Fans are shocked by reports that Evelyn's long-awaited baby reveal spiraled into a violent meltdown, leaving Jackie, Brandi, and Chantel fleeing the room in tears and screams. Eyewitnesses claim the moment Evelyn lifted her shirt to reveal her baby bump. The atmosphere shifted from celebration to pure chaos. Instead of cheers, there were gasps as Chantel allegedly slapped a photographer. Brandi hurled her champagne glass across the room and Jackie screamed, accusations so fierce that crew members ducked for cover. Emotions ran high when Evelyn's husband tried to calm the storm, only to be shoved aside by Bry's fury. Friends say, Chantel's face turned red with rage, her voice cracking as she demanded to know why Evelyn had kept this news secret until cameras were rolling. The family was left divided as the trio stalked off, doors slamming so hard the walls trembled. Fans are reeling over blurry videos showing champagne spraying like confetti and chairs toppling amid the screams. Whispers hint that betrayal cuts deeper during pregnancy announcements, and that underlying grudges finally exploded under harsh studio lights. No one expected a tender reveal to turn into such a brutal spectacle land. Now everyone is asking what could have driven these women to the brink of violence. The studio loft buzzed with quiet anticipation as Evelyn stood at the center of the circle, her hands caressing the curve of her midsection beneath a flowing blush dress. Soft fairy lights twinkled overhead, casting a warm glow that usually spelled celebration, but tonight carried an undercurrent of tension. Cameras perched on tripods formed a half-moon around the cast, their lenses trained on Evelyn's every breath. Servers hovered with flutes of rose, champagne, and a gentle hum of polite. Chatter filled the air. Behind the scenes, a handful of producers exchanged uneasy glances. This was meant to be a feel-good moment, a heartwarming reveal to remind viewers of life's sweetest surprises. Yet even as the instruments of festivity stood ready, a storm brewed just beyond the fragile veneer of smiles. When Evelyn cleared her throat, the room stilled. Champagne glasses hovered midway to eager lips and crew members pressed record. "I've been waiting for this moment," Evelyn began, voice trembling with excitement. "I'm so happy to share that we're expecting for a heartbeat." The silence held its breath. Then the room erupted. Toasts rang out, glasses clink-ticked, and tears of joy glistened in many eyes. Fans are shocked. They'd later type at the beauty of that instant when a simple phrase can make hearts swell. Yet even amidst the applause, Shan's expression remained strangely distant. She raised her flute, offering a thin smile that failed to reach her eyes, though she worried the celebration had sprung from a deeper, darker secret. As laughter rippled around Evelyn, Chantel's fingers tightened around her glass. Brandi leaned toward her, whispering, words of congratulations. But Chantel shook her head, her eyes narrowing at Evelyn. "You waited until this moment to tell us?" Chantel asked, voice low but sharp enough to cut through the merriment. A hush followed and glasses stilled. Evelyn's daughter reached out, placing a small hand on her mother's arm. Confusion flickering across her face. Emotions ran high as the room pivoted from joy to curiosity. What could have compelled Evelyn to keep such news hidden until cameras were rolling? The family was left divided between defending their friend's choice and feeling blindsided by her timing. Brandi lifted her brow, glass forgotten. "Chantel, maybe give her a moment," she suggested, voice gentle. Chantel, jaw clenched. "Moment," she shot back. "This is my best friend, sharing a life-changing secret, and I'm supposed to grin." Chantel slammed her palm on the table, sending ripples through the champagne. The condensation on her glass trembled. Evelyn blinked, hurt and surprise mingling in her eyes. "I thought I was sparing you," she murmured. "I wanted to wait for the right time." But Chantel's anger surged like wildfire. The right time was when we trusted each other, not when the audience was watching. Jackie rose chair scraping the tiled floor, her face flushed with fury and disbelief. "Chantel's not wrong," she said, pacing like a caged lioness. "We've been through everything together. Every scandal, every secret tang you chose today of all days to spring this on us." She spun to Evelyn. "Tell us it's not for ratings." Wine sloshed in her glass as she waved it for emphasis. Fans are shocked by Jackie's bold confrontation. They'd later gush, calling it one of the royest moments this season. Evelyn's lip quivered. "This was my moment," she whispered. "I didn't plan for this to be violence. Violence arrived anyway." Chantel lunged forward, grabbing the edge of the table to steady herself, her voice cracking with betrayal. "Stop saying you didn't plan this," she yelled. Bry's eyes widened as she took a half step back, nearly knocking over a tray of hors d'oeuvres. The same tic that had driven previous feuds flickered in Chantel's stance, her shoulders squared, her breath shallow. Evelyn's daughter covered her ears, tears streaming. In that angle, viewers saw Chantel's gloves off glare, her words echoing. This is what betrayal looks like. Suddenly, Brandi lost her composure. She hurled. Her champagne flute against the mirrored wall. It exploded in a shower of bubbles and glass shards. Pain flashed in Evelyn's eyes as Brandi hissed. "You've been hiding from us while we've been hiding your back." Chair legs scuffed the floor, and the mirrored wall reflected Bry's fury back at her. Fans are shocked that a reveal could turn this savage. They type flooding social media with demands for explanation. The family was left divided further when Brandi stormed toward Evelyn. Hands balled in fists and rage turned the air electric. In the midst of the chaos, an unwitting crew member scrambled to sweep away broken glass. Cameras continued rolling, capturing every twitch of emotion. Evelyn's husband tried to interpose himself, murmuring, "Apologies." But heart-pounding, he was shoved aside by Bry's reckless charge. "Get out of my way," she spat. The space between host and guest collapsed. Chant Hall, seeing the violence escalate, screamed, "No more!" Her voice cracked like a whip, and she turned away, slapping her hand against the wall before storming out. Tears streaming, Jackie, realizing Chantel had fled, leaped to her feet. "Chantel, come back!" she shouted. But Chantel's echoing footfalls answered her instead. Brandi sank to her knees beside Evelyn, sobbing into her hands as confetti of shattered glass and fine champagne settled around them. The director yelled, "Cut!" But the force of reality, TV drama held the cast in place. The trio, Chantel, Brandi, and Jackie, had fled the room in a storm of screams and betrayal, leaving Evelyn trembling alone under the harsh hangover lights of her own announcement. The aftermath was as brutal as the reveal itself. Evelyn's daughter wailed into her mother's arms. Bry's mascara ran in thick rivulets down her cheeks. Fans are shocked. They'd comment that a joyful moment ignited such raw violence. Crew members tiptoed among puddles of champagne, collecting shards of glass like grim trophies. The family had been left divided, the bonds of friendship tested beyond repair. And outside, Chantel's storming form disappeared into the night, her voice still echoing down the corridor, a testament to how icely celebration can transform into tragedy. The studio loft seemed to glow with anticipation as Evelyn stepped into its center. Her silhouette framed by strands of fairy lights that draped from the ceiling like constellations. Soft music played beneath the hum of conversations, and the air smelled of fresh roses and leather-bound scripts. Castmates and crew gathered around a long table dressed in white linen. Champagne flutes poised at each place, and delicate confetti scattered like fallen petals. Screens lining the walls displayed montages of Evelyn's past moments on camera. Her laughter, her tears, her fierce loyalty to friends. It was meant to be the pinnacle of joy, a baby reveal that would remind fans of the love these women shared. Yet beneath the veneer of celebration, something simmered in Chantel's EA current, of tension barely contained by her forced smile when Evelyn cleared her throat and raised her flute. The chatter subsided instantly. She cradled her dress above her belly, face alight with hope. "I have some news," she began. For a moment, the room held its breath. Then she smiled, cheeks glowing. "We're expecting." Champagne glasses lifted with a rush of excitement. Corks popped and the first tears fell. Brandi sobbed into Evelyn's shoulder, her proud grin wide. Jackie's eyes glistened as she delivered the first heartfelt hug while Rosary clapped her hands, eyes bright. Fans are shocked. They later typed by how quickly joy can blossom in a single breath. Yet even as the flutes clinked and confetti rained in slow motion, Chantel sat frozen, her glass slipping from her fingers. Brandi glanced at Chantal, concern flickering over her features. "Are you okay?" she asked, voice gentle. Chantal forced a nod, picking up her glass with trembling fingers. But Heary's never left Evelyn. Evelyn's daughter, perched on a stool, reached for her mother's hand, proud and innocent. "Look, everyone," she cried. "Baby's here." The guests laughed, taken in by her simple delight. But Chantel's lips pressed into a line and she turned away, watching the screens that replayed Evelyn's journey. Questions crept into her mind. Why had she just handed out invites to this very moment as if it were anyone else's surprise? Why did it feel as though she'd been forgotten? Forgotten. Jackie stepped back, surveying the scene with the producer's eye. "This is gold!" She mulled to a camera operator, then stiffened at Chantel's distant stare. She caught Bry's eye and arched a brow. Brandi shrugged, unsure. Evelyn's husband wrapped an arm around her, beaming as he listened to the chatter about names and nursery themes. "We should have pastel elephants," someone suggested. Another said neutral ivy vines. The mood swung between warmth and awkwardness. A pendulum caught in stiff gusts. Chantel finally stood, glass in hand, and cleared her throat, drawing every gaze. "Congratulations, Evelyn," Chantel said, voice low and steady. She raised her flute in a half-hearted toast. Evelyn's eyes shone, but her smile faltered when she inhaled Chantel's tension like a sudden cold breeze. "Thank you," Evelyn replied, tone warm but cautious. Chantel sighed, setting her glass down with deliberate care. I wish I'd known sooner," she admitted. The room stilled. "Known what?" Evelyn asked, hurt spilling into. Her voice, Chantel's hand fluttered to her chest. "This news," she said, "I'm your best friend. I thought I'd be the first." Evelyn's daughter looked from Chantal to her mother, confusion tightening her small features. "Mommy, you told me first," she said. Her innocence cracked the tension for a heartbeat, but Chantel's eyes glinted with old wounds. "Told your daughter without telling me," she said. Her voice rose, trembling with betrayal. Brandi reached to soothe Chantel's arm, but Chantel recoiled. "Don't touch me," she hissed. The table's edge received her palm as her anger snapped into view. Fans are shocked. They'd later comment at the sight of Chantel's fury. Evelyn's husband swallowed, glancing at the crew. "Chantel," he began, but Chantel cut him off. "Don't," she spat. "Not one word." Rosary stood, stepping between them. "Chantel, please," she urged. "We can talk about this." Chantel shook her head, tears shining. "Talk." She laughed without humor. "All I see is a staged moment. You waited for the cameras before you remembered I existed." Evelyn's hands went to her belly. "This is about my baby," she said, voice quivering. "Not cameras." Chantel's jaw clenched. "Your baby on camera," she corrected. "And me, your friend, left in the dark?" In an instant, Brandi lunged forward, her glass flying from her hand. It smashed against the mirrored wall, shattering in a flurry of rose-colored shards. Champagne sprayed like fireworks as Bry's eyes blazed. "You have no right!" she yelled. Chair legs screeched as castmates sprang back, crying out in alarm. Evelyn's daughter screamed, and Evelyn caught her in frantic arms. Bry's chest heaved. "You used us," she cried, voice raw. "You used my daughter's joy for your perfect reveal." The room tilted in chaos. Plates rattled, confetti scattered, and came word. Catching every anguished expression, Jackie rose in a fury, her hair swinging like a whip. "This is insane," she shouted, stomping toward the table. "We're family," she accused, voice cracking. "We share everything." She whipped toward Evelyn. "And you chose to hide this from us." Evelyn flinched, her husband reaching for her, but Jackie's hand lashed out, sending a napkin holder skittering across the floor. "Stop!" Chantel screamed, her hands shooting out to separate them. "This has to end." But the damage was done. Evelyn backed away, tears blurring her vision. Her daughter clung to her leg, wide-eyed with terror. "Chantel," turned voice raw to Brandi. "Go," she said, "all of you just go." Brandi found Chantel's hand and nodded, eyes blazing with tears. She guided Chantel toward the exit. The two women stalked by Jackie, who refused to be left behind. Feet pounded on the tiled floor, echoing like a drumbeat as they fled into the corridor, doors slamming behind them. The studio loft fell into stunned silence. The violent crescendo of what should have been a celebration settling like dust dot left behind. Evelyn sank to the floor beside her daughter, rocking her gently. Her eyes saw her husband's, her world unraveling in a cascade of broken glass and jagged accusations. The screen still flashed images of joy moments ago, but the festivity lay in ruins. The servers gathered shattered flutes, crew exchanged, worried whispers, and the family's bonds lay severed by secrets and betrayal. Cameras continued rolling, capturing every silent sob and every broken promise as the harsh light of reality TV bore witness to the moment when Evelyn's baby revealed turned violent, tanned her. Dearest friends walked out screaming into the night. The studio loft shimmered under strings of fairy lights as Evelyn stepped into the center, her blush-colored dress flowing like a soft promise of new beginnings. Champagne flutes waited at each play setting, their rims sparkling with misty condensation. The cast hummed with anticipation, exchanging excited whispers about baby names and nursery themes. Screens lining the walls replayed Evelyn's journey, her laughter, tears, and unwavering support for her friends. It was meant to be a joyous interlude, a moment of pure celebration. Fans are shocked. They'd later type by how a single announcement can carry so much weight. Yet beneath the surface, glances exchanged in corners hinted at unspoken doubts. setting the stage for a storm nobody saw coming. Evelyn took a trembling breath and raised her flute high. The chatter hushed instantly, all eyes drawn to her. "Have some news," she said, voice bright with emotion. "We're expecting." In that split second, the atmosphere shifted from lighthearted banter to glistening. Glasses clinked in harmony. Tears sparkled in eyes, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Emotions ran high as Brandi threw her arms around Evelyn, tears of joy flowing freely. Jackie's own face softened into a radiant smile, and Chantel reached out to lay a hand on Evelyn's shoulder. The family was left divided in that instant award. Pure joy on one side and a flicker of envy on the other. As if everyone sensed an undercurrent too powerful to name. Seconds later, Chantel's forced smile cracked. She stared at Evelyn as though seeing her for the first time, a mix of longing and hurt reigning in her eyes. "Congratulations," she said, voice strained. Champagne barely touched her lips as she lowered the glass, the rim trembling in her hand. Brandi caught Chantel's gaze and frowned, concern etching her features. "You okay?" Brandi asked, free tone faltering. Chantel forced a nod, but her heart raced. She had imagined being the one announcing life's next chapter, and now she felt a sting of betrayal. Fans are shocked by how quickly celebration curdles into tension, vague comment, and the cameras captured Chantel's trembling chin as she grappled with unexpected pain. Brandi squeezed Chantel's arm, but found herself torn between comforting her best friend and sharing in Evelyn's happiness. Girls cluster around Evelyn, laughing about pastel cranes and woodland creatures. The confetti rained down in soft colors, and servers offered canapes that looked almost too delicate to eat. Brandi snapped back to the moment when Chantel's voice rose above the applause. "You waited for the perfect shot," Chantel accused, eyes blazing. "You staged this revelation for them, not for us." A collective gasp echoed through the loft. Champagne flutes suspended in midair. The family was left divided between defending Evelyn's timing and feeling chosen last. The fragile veneer of celebration shattered like glass underfoot. In the sudden hush, Bry's temper flared. She lifted her flute and hurled it against the mirrored wall. The glass exploded into shards, champagne spraying like fiery embers. Cries of alarm pierced the air as servers scrambled back, napkins swirling in the chaos. Evelyn's daughter cried out, startled, tumbling into her mother's arms. Emotions ran high as Evelyn's eyes filled with shock and hurt. "Brandi!" Chantel shouted, "Enough!" But Bry's chest heaved with betrayal too fierce to contain. Fans are shocked by this violent rupture of joy. They type replaying the moment that pure happiness erupted into raw, unfiltered fury. Jackie launched to her feet, her chair screeching across tile. Her voice cracked as she cut through the turmoil. "This is insane," she cried. "How could you do this on a day meant for love?" Evelyn's tears glimmered as she stared at her closest friends, confusion and sorrow locked in her gaze. "I just wanted to share," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." But Chantel shook her head, tears of rage mingling with loss. "You used us," she spat. "And you used my trust." The family was left divided in that moment when laughter died and anger took its place. Raw and uncompromising, Chantel's fury peaked as she slammed her hand onto the table, sending plates rattling. "I can't stand here and pretend everything's fine," she shouted. Her voice echoed off the loft's high walls. Brandi glared at Evelyn, eyes glinting with hurt. "You did this for the cameras?" Brandi accused, tears streaming. "And you didn't care how it landed on my best friend." The sound of Chantel's heels clicking as she turned away added percussion to her rage. Cameras captured every second, logging this fracture in high definition for the world to dissect without another word. Chantel stormed past Brandi and Jackie, her arms pumping at her sides as she made for the exit. Brandi and Jackie exchanged a quick glance before following, their heels striking the floor like war drums. "We're out!" Brandi hissed to Jackie, tears still in her eyes. The door slammed behind them with a force that set the echo bouncing down the corridor. Evelyn and the crew froze, the aftermath of violence hanging thickly in the air. Fans are shocked. They'd commented how quickly a tender moment can collapse into chaos when old wounds and new betrayals collide. Brails collide. Inside the now silent loft, Ryan knelt beside Evelyn and her daughter, gathering broken glass. And spilled confetti. "They'll be back," he whispered, though his voice trembled. Evelyn's daughter whimpered. "Mama, so loud," she said, clutching Evelyn's dress. Evelyn held her close, her own tears falling unchecked. "I know, sweet girl," she murmured. Behind them, crew members gingerly collected the shrapnel of celebration. Conscious that tonight's footage would dominate headlines and likely tear friendships apart forever. The screens lining the walls continued to loop earlier clips. Evelyn's laughter, her joyous recounting of motherhood dreams, but now those images felt like echoes from another world. One untouched by betrayal. The family was left divided in the wreckage of a reveal gone violent. The cavernous loft humming with forced silences and unspoken regrets. As the cameras continued to record, capturing every tear and tremor, a silent question hung in the air. Would these friendships survive the fallout? Or was this the final shudder of a bond once believed unbreakable? Fans watching at home held their breath, knowing that in the glare of reality TV, even the purest joy can ignite the fiercest war. Chantel's footsteps pounded against the polished concrete as she burst into the dimly lit hallway, tears blurring the soft glow of exit signs. Jackie and Brandi followed close behind, their own breaths ragged with fury and confusion. The corridor stretched out in both directions, lined with closed doors and muted signs of the studios of Four's quiet. Chantel's daughter trailed at the back, her small hands clutching Bry's dress, eyes wide with worry at the unsettling echo of adult anger. They reached a corner where a fire extinguisher hung silently and Chantel slammed her hand against the cool metal. "I can't believe she'd do that," Chantel hissed, voice raw. Bry wiped her cheeks, mascara smudged in indigo streaks. "She used us," Brandi muttered. She turned one of the happiest moments of our lives into the worst. Wrapped an arm around Chantel's shoulders, guiding her to lean against the wall. "Breathe," Jackie urged. "We need to calm down." Chantel inhaled, shoulders rising as sobs shook her frame. Calming down feels impossible. She closed her eyes, the clatter of conversation from the studio leaking through the door ahead. Meanwhile, inside the screening room, Evelyn sat huddled with her daughter in Ryan's arms. Crew members tiptoed around shattered glass and confetti, offering tissues and awkward glances. Ryan rocked back and forth, his own face pale. "I've never stormed out like that before," he said softly. Evelyn pressed her head against his chest. Daughter clutching her finger. "I didn't think it had hurt them so deeply," she whispered. Her daughter sniffled. "Mom, they're my friends too," she said, voice small and earnest. Evelyn's heart ached. "I know, sweet girl. I promise I'll fix it." Outside, Chantel swallowed hard, straightening to face her friends. Bry's eyes burned with unshed tears as she reached out to Chantel. "What do you want to do?" Brandi asked. A soft sob escaped Chantel. "I need answers," she said. "And I need to see your face." Jackie nodded, pulling out her phone. "We'll record it," she said. "She needs to hear what she did." Chantel hesitated, jaw clenched. "And we need to be heard, not buried by cameras." Brandi swallowed. "We do it together." Chantel rubbed her daughter's back. "We go back in. We don't leave until she answers." With that resolve, the three of them moved down the hallway. Chanel's daughter tucked safely between Chanel and Brandi. Each step felt heavy, like trudging through water as they approached the screening room door. They could hear hushed voices, Evelyn's quivering apology, Ryan's comforting words until Jackie gently knocked. The voices stopped abruptly. A long pause followed. Then the door cracked open. Evelyn appeared, eyes red, clutching her daughter. Behind her, a cluster of crew members gave anxious space, hoping the conflict would end soon. Chantel stepped forward first. "You need to see us," she said, voice firm. Evelyn blinked, voice barely a whisper. "Chantel." Chantel held up her hands. No soft talk. "I want to know why you did it." The room held its breath. Evelyn swallowed. I was scared," she began. "Scared of ruining everything? Scared of not doing it perfectly." Bry's eyes flashed. "So you threw us aside for a perfect moment," she demanded. Evelyn flinched. "I didn't throw you aside," she said quietly. "I thought protecting the reveal meant protecting you too." Chantel's daughter tugged at Evelyn's sleeve. "Did you mean to hurt us?" she asked, voice trembling. Evelyn looked at her daughter, tears streaming. "No, baby, never you." The child nodded, but her mother's friends remained unconvinced. Jackie stepped forward, arms crossed. "We need specifics," she said, voice low. "When you saw the cameras, did you choose them over us?" Evelyn's breath hitched. "I didn't choose cameras," she said. "I chose the moment I thought would be right." "I'm sorry I didn't trust you enough to know what was right." Chantel clenched her fists. "Trust is a two-way street," she replied. "You handed us a script for our own reactions." Brandi massaged her daughter's back. "We can't have that," she said. "This isn't TV, it's our lives." Tension crackled in the air. eyes flicked between friendships that felt strained to breaking. A crew member peeked from behind a camera, mouth open in worry. Even the light seemed dimmed by the weight of the confrontation. Then, to everyone's surprise, Chantel's daughter spoke again. "Will you make up?" she asked. The innocence behind her voice cut through the conflict like a blade. Chantel's jaw loosened. Bry's harsh features softened, and Jackie's stern expression cracked. Evelyn knelt to her daughter, whispering, "I will if she will." Chantel's eyes welled. "I don't know," she murmured. Silence stretched until Rosary and Malaysia slipped back in behind Chantel's group, hoping to support the reconciliation. Rosary called gently. "We're here too." Evelyn looked up, hope flickering. "Rosary, Malaysia," she said. Rosary offered a soft smile. "You're not alone." Malaysia nodded. "We all want to fix this." Brandi took a deep breath and addressed Chantel. "Can we try?" she asked, voice small. Chantel looked from Rosary to Brandi to Evelyn, the map of emotions on each friend's face, writing volumes. She inhaled, summoning courage. "I want to," she said finally, "but this needs to be fair. No more surprises." Evelyn straightened, wiping tears from her cheeks. "No more surprises," she promised. Brandi reached out to clasp Evelyn's hand. "No more hidden moments." Chantel lowered her gaze, tears glistening. "Only honesty," she added. The group formed a ring, hands finding hands in a fragile bond. Cameras rolled in silent witness, staged by producers who sensed the real drama was unfolding right here. Yet, amid the tentative truce, a new tension flickered on the wall-mounted screen. An email preview from Evelyn's manager landed in view. Subject line: urgent leaked audio clip. The words glowed crimson. Chantel's heart lurched. Bry's hand flew to her mouth. Jackie's eyes narrowed. Evelyn froze, horror draining her color. The promise of reconciliation wavered as the preview scrolled on. Evelyn admits she manipulated the reveal for storyline advantage. The family still joined in their circle, stared at the screen in stunned silence. Fans are shocked. They'd tweet that even the healing moment could be overshadowed by another bombshell. The cast let go of each other, back stiffening breaths. Catching Chantel stepped back, eyes flicking between friends. "We thought this was over," she whispered. Evelyn bit her lip. I'll explain," she stammered. Bry's eyes filled with tears of anger and hurt. "Every word tonight means nothing until we hear your truth." Jackie folded her arms. "And until we know this isn't another secret." The ring of friends fractured once more, leaving the room humming with the threat of another showdown. And now you've witnessed the moment that's supposed to sparkle with joy turn into a storm of shattered trust and raw emotion. Evelyn's baby reveal exploded in violence, sending champagne flutes crashing, friendships fracturing, and Chantel, Brandi, and Jackie storming out with tears and screams. Fans are shocked by the sight of lifelong bonds unraveling in seconds, and emotions ran high as accusations flew under unforgiving studio lights. The family was left divided between loyalty and betrayal, each woman battling her own heartbreak. In the aftermath, questions linger like confetti on the floor. Will Chantel ever forgive Evelyn for putting cameras before friendship? Can Brandi and Jackie find a way back to the sisterhood they once shared? What dark secrets lie behind that leaked audio clip? And who will step forward to tell the full truth? And for Evelyn, will she salvage this joyful milestone or watch it crumble under the weight of her own choices? You've seen the anger, the tears, and the desperate attempts at reconciliation, but the story is far from over. Now it's your turn to speak up. Do you side with Chantel's fury or Evelyn's fear-driven misstep? Do you believe this fallout will heal or shatter their world forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your voice shapes the next chapter of this saga. If you live for these dramatic twists, don't miss a single explosive moment. Like this video, like twists, don't miss a single explosive moment. Like this video,